Mercedes' new F1 car was shown to the world earlier this week, and they were quick to get it out on the Silverstone circuit for more pre-season testing. After taking the wraps off the W14 on Wednesday morning, the team let George Russell drive it around the track for a few laps to check it out. Then, on Thursday, Mercedes used one of their 2 filming days for the season to give Russell and teammate Lewis Hamilton some time in the car before pre-season testing at the Bahrain International Circuit next week. Now, even though it was raining at the British Grand Prix venue, and the team was only able to drive 100 kilometers of the national layout, Hamilton came away from his first time in Mercedes' latest car feeling encouraged. But more on that later though. After the Silverstone testing, more changes were discovered in the W14 car, the biggest ones being on the side pods and engine cover. The team had to stick with last year's idea because starting over from scratch would have meant losing 12 months of learning and growth. When you take a second look at Mercedes' black Formula 1 car though, you can see that more small changes have been made. The front of the W14 is different because the front wing is shaped differently and the flaps on the nose are connected in a different way. See image below. The fact that the bottom of the nose is hollowed out to send more air to the bottom of the car is interesting. The front suspension was also changed, especially at the lower triangle level. Now, some things can also be seen from farther away. Only a small part of the way the powertrain is packed has changed. The side pods now have a continuous profile, whereas the W14 had a break where the side pods curve inward. The coando effect against the car's bodywork is still used to keep the air moving towards the back of the car. For better aerodynamics, the lower part of the hood has a channel that directs airflow across the back of the bodywork toward the low-lying beams of the rear wings, visible under the Filiceti logo in the image below. Mercedes is clearly working on both the airflows going over and under the car in order to find the perfect aerodynamic balance that was often missing in 2022. The new car was tested by Lewis Hamilton as well. The 7-time world champion drove the W14 at Silverstone, where the team was doing a filming day that let them run the car for 100 kilometers. George Russell tested the car first. During the day, it rained at the track, so the team started out with all-weather tyres. When they tested tyres for Pirelli at Jerez in Spain at the beginning of February, both drivers had already been on the track. Hamilton said he felt good because he hadn't taken too much time off from training over the winter. "I got in the car, I did 160-something laps in Jerez, and I felt good," he told media after the testing. As always, after the first day of running, the back of your neck is always a sore part, and then you just get used to it. I'm sure still after the first days that we're running, your body is still getting accustomed to the forces, as the car should hopefully be quicker this year. Yeah, but just never taking your eye off the ball, but still trying to also enjoy your time, to be present with the group that you're with. It's been great to get up and running with the W14. It's always a much anticipated moment for everyone at the factory that's been working so hard. I'm incredibly grateful for all the effort that's gone in," he continued. "The day has been smooth, we got through a good program and we come away with some useful findings. I generally felt comfortable in the car and I'm excited to get going in Bahrain." Russell added, "It's great to get on the track with a W14. It was very cold and greasy out there, but the car ran smoothly and we completed all the laps we're permitted to do. We know pre-season testing in Bahrain will be the first real test of the car. Nevertheless, it looks great out on circuit and the feeling from within the car is so far so good." Now, the 2023 Formula 1 season will start in Bahrain in just under 2 weeks, but first, it's time for the winter test. From February the 23rd to the 25th, the F1 teams will show off their new cars, some of which will be seen for the first time in public. What should we all expect from the test days coming up? After a series of car launches, where we may or may not have seen much of the new F1 cars, the teams took to the track for the first time without restrictions during the winter test. Shakedowns were done, but the teams could only go a maximum of 100 kilometers and had to use Pirelli's special demonstration tyres. So the winter test will be the first test of strength before the real race, the Bahrain Grand Prix, starts. In the run-up to the new rules for the 2022 season, an extra winter test was held in Barcelona. This year, the teams and drivers will have to rely on the 3-day test in Bahrain. There, for the first time, it'll be possible to see how well the different teams prepared over the winter. The first race of the season is only a week away, so there won't be much time to fix any problems. There are also some changes to the technical rules that all cars must follow for the 2023 F1 season. The higher ride height is one of the most important and controversial changes. Mercedes themselves pushed for this because Lewis Hamilton and George Russell's team kept having problems with porpoising all season. Early in the season, most F1 teams didn't pay much attention to the problem. However, Mercedes had trouble with it for a long time. By the end of the year, the German racing stable seemed to have mostly solved the problem, but Toto Wolff kept talking about how important it was to change the rules. Even though the FIA said that the changes to the floor were made to make it safer, most F1 teams didn't believe them. The roll bars were changed, which was a change that was made with safety in mind. After Guan Yu Zhou's Alfa Romeo broke apart in a hard crash at Silverstone, these had to be made stronger. Aston Martin and Mercedes, among others, came up with some questionable designs for front and rear wings in 2022. These designs will be banned, but during the car launches, it looked like both Mercedes and Ferrari had already found a way to make the new front wing design fit the rules. Formula 1 wouldn't be better off if Mercedes became unbeatable again, but after a season like 2022, what the sport really needs is a Mercedes team that can at least compete. In 2022, Red Bull would win 17 of the 22 Grand Prix races. This was helped by big strategic and mechanical mistakes made by Ferrari, as well as some driver mistakes. All of this gave Red Bull its first double title win since 2013 and Max Verstappen his second world championship with 4 races to spare. After a one-year blip, there's no guarantee that Mercedes will be fine again right away, but there's also no reason why they wouldn't be. They've said that they don't think their interesting zero-side pod idea was to blame for their problems last year, so any big changes to their car might not be that easy to spot. So Hamilton, Russell and the rest of us will be patiently waiting to see how much of a fight Mercedes will put up this year. From the point of view of the British, it would be a shame for both of them to be out of the title race for a second year in a row. Plus, it's better for F1 as a whole if as many people as possible are in the race. We still don't know how well the car will do in testing, and we haven't even had a good look at the new Red Bull, even though it's already been on the track. But Mercedes' fight to catch up to the leaders will be one of the season's most interesting side stories. No matter if the team is just managing expectations right now and is strong right out of the box, or if it gets there in the end, what matters is that it proves it can in some way. If not, that could mean that its dominance has not just been put on hold, but has ended for good, with Red Bull and maybe even Ferrari now in front. Even so, Mercedes should not be taken for granted because of what has happened in the past. Anyone who bets against it being a strong force this year would be taking a big risk, as the smart money is on it turning last year's struggles into a knowledge base that sets it up for many more wins in the future. So, are you a fan of Mercedes, and what are your expectations for the team this year? Will they be competitive, or will they quickly fall off behind Red Bull again? Let us know in the comments down below.